There. Light language is a higher frequency language. We can just go into this state that we do, and then it channels through. And let me switch. There. Light language is a higher frequency language. We can just go into this state that we do.
When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the sweetest bed. When I lay me down to die, I'm going up to the Twinkie in the, going on up to the Twinkie in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. I die. I'm gonna bite the snack that I love best. Prepare yourself, you know it's a must. Gotta have a Twinkie if you wanna trust. Just saying, Lordy, I'm so spread. Gonna meet the Twinkie in the sky. Never been a sinner. I've got a sweet tooth. I got an orange sponge cake, a creamy truth. So when I die, don't ask me why. I'm going G up to the Twinkie in the sky. Going on up to the Twinkie in the sky. That's where I'm gonna go when I die. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna snack on the Twinkie I love best. When I die and they lay me to rest, I'm gonna go to the place that's the sweetest best.
Extraterrestrial hybridized DNA. Don't need to worry about tooth decay. Kevin Spacey and his clone are feeling alone. Men who stare at goats. The Real Society Road. Super Soldier Sunday, just another fun day. 75 years on Mars, lying about the stars. Captain Richard charms like Charles Manson's gun. Liars in the sun. Liars in the sun. Montauk's in the sun. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's jam. Montauk, super soldier talk, super space program. Let's jam.
Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drought in your brain, making you insane. Wrapping up Benjamin full fur, living the absurd like a blue avian nerd, keeping the lines blurred. Captain Mark Richards, a secret space program grifter, getting married while in prison, making you listen, create a new religion, doing the reptilian, making you forget my sins. Super soldier talks in prison, Nordic and Draco, shape shifting in my Winnebago. Indigenous insectoids weaving you the void, drought in your brain, making
welcome to Not My Rabbit Hole, and I hope you are having a cup of coffee, a brew with me this morning. Today is Saturday. Yo! It's the weekend. I'm on vacation. So, I've been doing some thinking this morning about about the fact that Tahinder Gill came up in the conversation with David Schurter. Like, there's a story being spun about me as of like a couple days ago that I am friends with Taj, who has a YouTube channel. It's called Taj Investigates. And he apparently, according to David, he spends a lot of time on the dark web. And I am blackmailing and extorting people for millions of dollars. And that's how I pay for my education. That's how I'm living in I've definitely upgraded in a 2-bedroom apartment, and I'm paying for my education, and I have no job. And so, obviously I am guilty of blackmail and extortion. Yes. I mean, I feel like, last night I was watching The House of Gucci on Netflix with, Lady Gaga. And it's got Al Pacino in it. And another actor, I don't know his name as well, but I've seen him in a lot of shows and I really like him. He played the Gucci, the one who wanted to be a lawyer that was kind of like a half-breed. He was part German, part the Gucci family. And I guess, his character says, I really don't have the bite like everybody else. But it's really cheesy, but it's like good cheesy. It's like well-acted cheesy. So it kind of satisfies that cheesy, like, oh yeah, I want to see something a little bit over the top. It's a little bit like Dynasty, these family shows that came out in the 80s. And of course, it takes place in the 80s. So you have an 80s music background, and you have kind of that, it has that sort of like nighttime soap opera flair. And I don't know, is Al Pacino a good actor? I'm just throwing it out there. What's that, that one movie that he's in where he's just like the, Tony Montana, right? That character. And it's so over the top. It's kind of like this. Only that one was more violent. But sometimes, like, Al Pacino, one of my professors, she is the faculty advisor for the Rampage at Fresno City College. I took her one of her classes, and she pointed out how, like, what a bad actor he was, and what a bad actor he was in that movie. And he was so over the top and so overly dramatic. And and I think she's right. It's like in the shoot scene where he's up, and they're like, all the bullets are going. I'm like, it took forever for him to die. I'm like, dude, you should be dead by now. But he kept speaking. It was that kind of like over the top movie, and yet people still wear that t-shirt. They wear the movie across their chest like it's some iconic film, or somehow it symbolizes them as a person. I don't know, it's very disturbing. Michelle Pfeiffer was in it. Why am I blanking on that? I mean, I don't want to sit here and like go, oh, Google, what movie was Al Pacino in where he played a gangster, Cuban gangster? You know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let me play another song while I do that.
Sarah the psychic, intuitive healer, the shroom dealer squealer. She almost died, but Sarah lied. But Sarah lied. No empathy for the past, just wicked spells she casts, and poops the shower. Shroom and
You know, I haven't even like looked at, you know, the chat yet or anything like that. I just started talking. I really don't want to look right now. I don't want to look at my chat. I feel like I just want to talk. I know you're there. Someone's there. If you're not there, someone's going to be there later. And, you know, I just want to have this in the moment, open dialogue, open. I really don't care what you have to say. That's just what the truth is. Like, I really don't care what you have to say. No, I'm just kidding, sort of. Sometimes I feel like it stops the flow of my thinking, and I'm sort of in that thinking mode, right? I'm kind of in that free association, not my rabbit hole mode. So if you have shown up right now, thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a cup of coffee wherever you are at, whatever time zone you're in, whatever place in the planet that you sit at. And we might be connecting in real time right now. We might be in the same moment at the same time, but that really define a moment, and does time really exist? Well, apparently not. Especially to a lot of us that, you know, especially in Sarah Rachel Adams' world. But I am very open to the fact that time doesn't really exist, and who knows, maybe time travel is possible. I'd like to think it was. If there was gonna be a, you know, like your magic power, your special gift, like you're an X-Men, or what your special ability would be if you were like a superhero, I would love to be able to time travel. I think it would be really fascinating to, you know, like maybe you could be like a time traveling anthropologist. Then we would know where the existence of man started from if we could time travel. That's what the problem is. We would know if there was a God for sure if we could time travel. I don't know about that, but maybe that doesn't really apply. So anyway, I was watching House of Gucci, and I did look up about. You were like, "Wait, Terry, we came here to talk about Sarah Rachel Adams. Stop! Hurry up! Stop babbling! We want to hear about Sarah." Yes, we will get there. But anyways, let me just finish this one thing. I looked at the movie Scarface. It's Al Pacino in Scarface. That guy is having. I think he's having. No, that one of them, either it's Robert De Niro or it's Al Pacino. One of them is having a baby. Their girlfriend's having a baby. The man's like 80. They're like in their 80s, getting chooch, It's obviously, it doesn't matter if Al Pacino's a bad actor. It doesn't matter. Whatever Al Pacino is, he is still banging it and, bringing in offspring onto the planet. He is populating the planet as an old man. Like, talk about having something, right? Having it. But I gotta say, I do like Al Pacino. Even though like some of his characters feel over the top sometimes, he overdoes it. He's over intense with what he does. But then that's what makes him, even if it's kind of funny, even if it's a little cheesy at moments, it's like it's him. So anyway, I just thought I'd go on the House of Gucci. I'll get there. Trust me, we're gonna get this there, I swear. I worked as an extra, okay, on this movie. And I don't know, it's called Secret Lies or something like that. And it had Linda Hamilton in it, was starring in it, and Jim Belushi starred in it. And you can still see it. Like I've watched the movie before. You can get it. Sometimes it's like on Tubi or something like that. And I've watched it and seen myself in it. Right? She plays like a psychiatrist, but she's like almost like MK Ultra and doing things and showing up in strange places and things like this. And there was this scene where it was supposed to be like, it was a rich Hollywood party where all the politicians and all the people were going, and I was an extra in that scene, and I had this one dress on and shoes, and the costume department looked at me and they go, "No, the shoes don't go with the dress. No, And then I hear the costumers talking to each other. They go, "Can we put her in the Gucci suit, like the the Gucci power suit? Yeah, she would look really good in that." So for the whole day, I was wearing like a real Gucci power suit that defined like the power woman, the new woman that was walking into the executive office and getting what they wanted. Like, and it was weird, but I gotta say, I felt like I didn't think clothing made you feel different. And it wasn't like but when I put it on, I felt better in it. Like I felt really good in that outfit. I'm like, "Oh, I love this outfit. This outfit is fantastic," and I went up to the ladies that were like, like where the customers, and I go, "I really love this outfit." And they go, "Oh, you should, because you're wearing it costs more than what any of us are making here today." And there's always for me in my life, that's the irony of me or life, like what money is, because I barely had a dime on me that day. Like I was, struggling in Hollywood, hoping to, get the golden ticket, the golden key into, a house of a reality show with 10 other comedians, that was like, so, but then there I was wearing something that within that reality of those odds, that should have never happened. But that's what entertainment is. That's what that world is, staying in 5-star hotels, when you working on a show and you have hardly anything in your pocket, but you would think that you were loving, you were in some ways living the lush life. but in a way, it's just, it's really not real. It really isn't. Like it's like that passage in the Bible, when you read or you learn, you can't take it with you. Like whenever we're not here in this reality anymore, that's not spirit, that's not wealth, that's not spiritual wealth. And I've always believed that. I know, I like Dave, I can just see people hating me, like I hate her, and like how she's a bitch. How could she be saying something like that? She's blank, 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 blank. But I think that is, that is really true. Like letting go of your attachments to what you think things are, what you think even your title is, or who you are. Like just letting go of, like, shedding the ego to where none of that matters. And then if none of that matters, like, imagine what you could, like, create, or maybe what the world would look like if we just took that out of our reality. But I don't really know anybody. I mean, I guess maybe some, a guru claims to have done it, or people believe that they did. Or did George Washington do it? I mean, he's up there on, apparently, people believe that George Washington ascended like Jesus, like the ascension, or, the immortality state. Anyway, yeah, I'm rambling. Oh, Terry, just talk about Sarah. I want to talk about Sarah. Tell us about Sarah. Okay, so I'm taking my glasses off for this because I'm not really reading that, to see if anyone, what anybody's going to say about this, because I just want to go there for a second. What's interesting to me, because this is just what recently happened, and I don't know who's actually here or listening, because Sarah Rachel Adams and I have a long history. Like, we're talking, over 10-year history with one another at this point. Sarah Rachel Adams and I. Okay. And so Sarah and Taj, the person that David Schroeder's been questioning about, Tahinder Gill was her manager. He became her manager. And these roots started, like, like when I first met Sarah, she was Max Spears' girlfriend, and I interviewed Max Spears. And then in that loop, I met Tahinder Gill, and Tahinder Gill worked with Miles Johnston from the Basis Project. And the reason why I'm giving these details is because it plays out. It's like it smashes into David Schroeder, which smashes into Thomas Schellenberger, which is smashed into a lot of other players in the playing field of what's been going on. And I'm just reflecting on that. I'm just making associations to that. And again, like, whatever I am talking about in relation to, like, this is what happened, and it's interesting that this connects to this. I'm not saying that I'm definite on my thoughts, like it's in stone that this is the way it is, but I'm wanting to process these thoughts out. Like, I want to speak it out, and I want to be on my show telling this, or making these connections, and making a question mark. And then, if people come in and they, if you've joined me, or if you're watching in the chat or something like that, maybe I should look into my studio and see what's going on. Okay. Yeah. 5 people are listening right now. But if you see this later, and something, or you want to remind me of something because you were there at that time, because see, Sarah Rachel Adams is not really that much of Not My Rabbit Hole, really. Like, when I talked about Sarah Rachel Adams, it was on my Freedom of Joyce channel, which was associated to the names of of that were on Revolution Radio and that were on American Freedom Radio. When I was no longer working on those networks anymore, and I no longer had that channel on YouTube. It was just like dumped and washed away. And you know what? I guess I could like maybe try to get it back or whatever, but I really don't want it back. It's like a dead weight of things that I did wrong is how I feel about it, because I made a lot of mistakes in my discernment, or maybe and I think it's because I just wasn't educated about it. Like I was influenced by the media that I was in because I believed that it was the red pill. And, someone like Sarah Rachel Adams or Max Spears had extra knowledge. They were claiming to be super soldiers, or that's what Carrie Cassidy coined it. And Sarah was in the mix in all of that. Sarah Rachel Adams has been. And one of, Sarah's, when I was interviewing her back then, Sarah was more of she was on the first time I saw Sarah, she was on Miles Johnson's The Basis Project. And he, because I was looking at videos of James Casbolt and Max Spears, and then there was Sarah, and I liked Sarah. Like initially I thought I liked the energy that she had in the very beginning, or in those videos that I had seen of her. It didn't get now I think that she's just all wacky and everything, but there was this time where, and maybe it was, again, I was heavily influenced, and I'm not, I was very curious about the whole super soldier phenomenon. And Revolution Radio did do the big super soldier summit in Henderson, Nevada. And there was there's Douglas Dietrich's show was right after mine on Revolution Radio, and he was the one, he claims to have been Michael Aquino's librarian. And he has all kinds of stories that weave in, Michael Aquino to the Super Soldier program and everything. And so I kind of want to just sort of like get that out there. And, as I process, how or what the similarities are to, let's say, a David Schurter, who, does, says on his live streams that he thinks Michael Aquino is still alive. Well, maybe he wants to make it alive. Like, is it possible that throughout this, and I'm not discrediting anybody, what they might feel about Michael Aquino, or, whether they think he's guilty, or whether they, you believe part of this or whatever. It's got 100,000 myriads, like 100 different, like not 100, but there's several different people giving several different testimonies of who Michael Aquino was, is, did, associated, guilty of, etc. But really, it's like, how do you find out what is the truth of who Michael Aquino was, and why is everybody talking about him, and why does he play out in a lot of different lives of some of these people that spoke about being in special programs like this, where they took children and kind of like, did stuff to where with their psychic abilities and whatever, to do things that would be military oriented, that were like beyond what we would consider 3D. Remote viewing, things like the psychic warfare, things that were like falling into a different thought process. And there was really a military that did that. So again, a lot of times conspiracies happen when there's something really real that but that realness gets, gets good. It's like, have you ever done that exercise where, somebody, you have a story that originates with one person, and then you go around the room and every person has to whisper it to the next person, and then you see how much that story changed till it goes full circle. And maybe it's something like that. I mean, I like to think that, because I feel like people that are in the super soldier community, that ones that, the super soldier talk, and people that claim to be super soldiers, and people that go to forums about super soldiers, there is a like a camaraderie. It's a group of people. There's events happening, there's fun happening, there's a connection happening, and there is, a belief system happening. It's so I'm gonna try to be careful about, like, not being rude or mean or offensive to people that are finding camaraderie in a world that's hard to find. It's hard to find, like, a group that you for me, it is, that I identify with, that I want to stand behind, that I feel like I'm not alone in. Because I think that maybe if you are having experiences that don't really fall in line to the normal, world of psychiatric whatever, or spiritual beliefs or whatever, maybe you are having something different. And if you are different that way, you want to be a part of something, or people just are lonely and they want to be a part of something. So I don't want to. I mean, I am a comedian, I am sarcastic, and, like, I've made some sarcastic songs, and I can't help that part of myself, really. And I don't think I should. But I am going to work towards, like, having an open mind, but at the same time, if I look at something, oh, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. Like, and I think that there are a lot of things that have come out in this community that we're really just a part of, like, oh, you're a super soldier, you're a psychic, or you're a remote viewer, or you are telepathic, or you have, kinesthetic abilities, you can move objects, whatever, right? I'm not, though, that's a whole nother thing that, a lot of people want to say, well, that's not real, but it is real. I mean, there is a lot of evidence that a lot of that stuff does really happen. And so, whatever. Or, if you believe that that there is extraterrestrial life, that there's something going on, and you're passionate about it, again, another group that when you go, that has conventions, that you feel a sense of community to. It's kind of like church in a way. And some people see that, like, in their churches. But here's where it gets really dangerous. And I think this is, like, what some of the, the players do that are associated with this, is they bring in spirituality. Like, even Kevin Moore, if you looked at his UFO network, it's about spirituality that is based on a spirituality that came out of UFOs and the belief that there was UFOs. And so, like, the same kind of manipulation that can be done that way, it can be done in this. I mean, just look at Heaven's Gate. Or, you look at, I mean, when I did go to a UFOlogy convention that happened in LA, and Stephen D. Kelly was a speaker there. And the Church of Scientology was there, giving the stress tester, which I took. I didn't realize it was Scientology. And that's a whole other story. I don't know, maybe I should talk about it. But, oh, speaking of the Church of Scientology, I don't know if you guys saw this, and this is, I'm veering off the point here for a minute, but I'm going to get to where Sarah connects to David Shirley, connects to Thomas Schoenberger, right? Connects to Nasty Troll Media. Like, there's an element of Sarah to Denise Mattow. There's an element of Sarah, or my speaking about Sarah on Not My Rabbit Hole, which I mostly did on Freedom of Joyce, that the other voices associated with the Thomas Schoenberger triangle of bullying with bots, that she has like permeated into this story, into the harassment that's happening now, to the point that David Schroeder is mentioning Taj's name, who was her ex manager, and they had a big split and a big breakup. So why, like, I'm thinking, like, why is Sarah Rachel Adams, that came before Denise, that came before whatever, in this story? Has she gone in herself and is contacting people or players or voices that do talk about me negatively on the internet and throwing a bone in their camp? Yeah, I do suspect that has happened. I do suspect it, because there have been streams with David Schroeder where I believe, like, she even said something like, I was responsible for Max's death, because she spun that out on the online. And there was some really major harassing happening with Sarah against me, even to the point where I suspect that she took my images, and another woman that she had an issue with, named Cara Renteria or something like that, she took our pictures and she put ugly things like semen spread over it and penises and things like this on it, and like white marking. And then she would mention things about Stephen D. Kelly, so it was somebody knew that I was like in a relationship at that time. And then it was really kind of even she put these weird looking guys' pictures in the thread, and they would just be making comments on my Instagram. And Sarah has been known to play games, like call CPS on people that she has an issue with, try to get someone's child taken away from them. She has made those threats to Max Spears' family after he died, like, threatening to report his sister, and has said that she even threatened that against Jeff Reed, who was my moderator, one of the only moderators I had here really briefly on Not My Rabbit Hole. So she has been around, and so is Angela Power Disney. And I want to throw Angela Power Disney in the mix, because like mostly everything that happened between Angela Power Disney and I was back when I had my Freedom of Joyce channel, and I had her on American Freedom Radio, and I had a history with her. And when I had a history with her, because I had her on my show talking about the Hampstead stuff, I had Hampstead trolls after me. Really, really bad. And then I found some things about Angela Power Disney that didn't add up to me, how I feel about David Schurter, right? And when I did a video about it, and after I did that, it flared up again, and the Hampstead people came after me again, and there was all this, stuff happening, and their tactics, or maybe they weren't the Hampstead people, but let me take that out of the equation. Hoaxstead, all right, is what they were called. Maybe it wasn't Hoaxstead. Maybe it was something else on the internet. Like, I'm really standing back and trying to figure out, what really happened here. But it did happen, and it happened on Freedom of Choice. And so, in a way, I'm like, okay, well, freedom of choice, needs to be flushed down the toilet. Not all of it, but it's really nice to have your mistakes virtually washed away. I mean, I don't like to stay on the mistakes, right? But I think that, when you, in life, this is how I feel like. To me, if you're talking about, if you want to ascend to something, you got to understand things. You got to say, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I think there was a lot of good material that I did on Freedom of Choice. And I think that a lot of people, at that time, I had 4,000 subscribers or more. And, I feel like, not everything that I did on Revolution Radio was bad, and not every moment did I not enjoy. And, when things were good between Sarah and I enjoyed interviewing her, and I enjoyed knowing Tash, and I even enjoyed having some of my interaction with Miles Johnston. I like to look at things, I don't want to be so definite or gray about it. Yeah, maybe things, didn't go right with them, between them and I, or, we may never meet the way again. But there's also something really great about it. What was the good part? What is the good part about that person? Because none of us are just oh, they're bad, they're good. What was it about that person that, you liked, or what was it that attracted you to want to get to know them? And, however, when it comes to, I guess what it is your personal ethics, right? I really am a seeker of knowledge. I'm a seeker of the truth. I want to know what things are. And then, I feel like along the way, I got stuck on a few things going, yeah, this is the way it is, when it really wasn't. And maybe I was a little too in your face, or a little too definite about what I thought was real. So when you move on, I do try to have grace with myself, and I got to forgive myself. I got that wrong. But it's in that wrongness that makes you get a little bit closer to what is true. I think when you go, well, what, that hat really didn't fit right. Let me try another one. Let me put that on for a little while and see what that feels like. Or the shoes, or whatever. It's pinching my left toe. Let me try a different shoe. Then I think that is part of changing, maybe changing for the positive. Maybe going, okay, well, I realize that there was something wrong in that media. And for me, I think maybe there was another control behind it. We don't talk about the mainstream media. We're like, oh yeah, the mainstream media, there's the Illuminati eye, and there's it's control because we need to be controlled by something. Something else is controlling the planet, right? Like a lot of people feel like, oh, my vote doesn't even really count. Like it's already pre-planned. Like the president's just like a freaking, talking. It might as well be an actor, might as well be a comedian up there running the country. I mean, I'm not saying that I believe that that's exactly what it is. I feel it's more like I fear. Oh God, please don't let it be that, right? I'm saying right, and maybe I shouldn't say right. Maybe you think none of this, none of these thoughts come into your head, and if they don't, forgive me for even suggesting anything like that would be happening. But I think America or the United States has been the closest to that. That maybe there was the closest thing to government for the people by the people. I mean, like we like to say it. We say it like a mantra. Government for the people by the people. Government for the people by the people. But like, do we is it real? Is that what's happening? Do you feel it? Is that what you feel is our reality? And one of the reasons why I guess maybe I'm here talking is because not really. For me, not really. No, sorry, not really. No, I don't feel like right now. I feel like something like my words and like everything's being more stifled than it even was before. And it doesn't matter if you're right on the right or the left. Whose fault is it? Really? Ours? Your own? Because you don't speak up and say anything about it? I don't know. And even if we are allowed to speak up about it, are we not going to get the film made? We get the door slammed in our face? Oh no, that we can't do a movie about that. No way. That would change everything, and that's not going to happen. How much time do I have? Let me see. Okay. Hi, Aiken. Aiken says he loves mistakes. Yeah, hi. Thank you. Aiken says, hope you're having a great day. I am. Aiken says the best system possible isn't necessarily utopian. Yeah, maybe. I mean, everything that we see about something being utopian seems like control still. Fair for everyone. I don't know. I just don't know. Do I have to solve it? So anyway, let me get to Sarah and some other things. Maybe I just don't care about Sarah anymore. Anyways, if it's let's just do this one thing here. I opened up with this. This is Sarah doing white language.
There. Light language is a higher frequency language. We can just go into this state that we do, and then it channels through. And let me switch. There. Light language is a higher frequency language. We can just go into this state that we do.
Okay. Yeah. That's Sarah. And I noticed I've been watching these videos about that lip change, that lip, adding fullness to your lips. And I believe she's had a lip flip, anyway. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that, but I was just she has changed physically a lot from plastic surgery since the time that I knew her. So what happened is as time went on, I was interviewing Sarah. I think I interviewed Sarah like 3 times. And then I interviewed Christina Joanna Hart. And Taj was starting to come in kind of like a manager, sort of. Like he would call me, contact me. Maybe it was like Skype at that time and say, would you like to interview so and so? Or would you like to interview Sarah again? Would you, like he was asking me about, Christina Joanna Hart. She had a channel, but I had never really connected to her. And I was like, yeah. And this happened after I interviewed Max. I think I interviewed Sarah once or twice, and then I eventually interviewed Max. And then I might have, there was another woman that claimed to be in all of this that I did shows with a couple times. And then I had interviewed Duncan O'Finian a lot. And I interviewed Duncan O'Finian a lot surrounding the details of Max's death. And, Duncan O'Finian, one of the things that he did say, and this part started with my interview with him, this narrative, was that after, Max died, they did like a 6-hour ritual trying to revive him, or what they were doing things. And this is and I later on I've gotten this confirmed through Vanessa that is true. And Sarah has described about how they were trying to get his soul into a glass of wine or milk or something like that. I guess they were trying to do a soul transfer or something. I'm not really on. Don't take me on that. But this part of what I'm talking about has been confirmed that did take place, and Sarah was part of it. And I'm thinking, I get stories that from Vanessa that Sarah was not in a relationship with Max. A woman named Sandra Duroy, who is in this picture, because like right after Max died, and I have this footage too, when Miles Johnston went on Carrie Cassidy's show, he put Sandra Duroy on the phone or on Skype, and Sandra said that she had a movie she was working on that she wanted to bring Max into, and that she was wanting to cast him in it. And he said that he was clean and sober, and that he wasn't in a relationship, had toxic relationships. Like he still wasn't with Sarah. And this was like maybe 7 days before he passed or something. Like it was like while he was in Poland, she was maybe going to go to Poland. And then Sandra was saying that Miles said, no, you don't want to go to Poland because they're going to break your pretty face and all this kind of stuff. And so she was afraid to go there, that somebody was going to harm her if she had gone to Poland, because something was going to happen to Max. Now she's saying this afterwards, not during the time that she spoke with, Miles and Carrie on the show. This came out like, almost 10 years later, or 7 years later. She's, saying some other backstory to this, like as if there was a suppression or a knowledge that even Miles Johnston had, that something was going to happen to Max. And you would think that if you had that kind of knowledge, you would like try to intervene to have it not happen, right? But no, whatever. And so Sandra came out, like 5 years later, and was saying, oh, I've got, this other, like she has other information on what happened to Max Spears and like who was responsible for it and this and that. And then she's like got this book that she's pushing and all this stuff, right? And then I noticed that like where was her roots at? And so she had done some pretty big shows that are like in this kind of media, like Sean Atwood had interviewed her, and she'd interviewed a lot of like people in the UK and stuff like this. And so she was saying that you know that when she came out, she started to talk about narrow. She was saying that she had Max and Sarah, I mean Taj and Sarah's blessing to talk about Max now. And I'm thinking, okay, but like if you go back in time, which I said earlier in this podcast that time didn't really exist, but if you go back in time, Sandra was saying that Sarah wasn't in a relationship with Max at that time. And let me add this too. I've gotten it confirmed from Vanessa that there wasn't an attraction between Sandra and Max, that there was a possible something else was maybe going to happen. Sarah was in a relationship, or had been. One of the breaking factors between Max and Sarah was Sean Stone. Sarah was in a relationship with Sean Stone. And yet Sarah, claimed and went to the papers and claimed that she was his fiance and they were wanting to have a baby together, and that he was being attacked by satanic people, demonic satanic people that wanted, to harm him or have, whatever. And she claims, and Sandra DeRoy and Taj both went on Sean Atwood's show and said that Sarah was sexting with Max in the bathtub, and the cell phone fell in the bathtub, and that is the reason why it was ruined. But it wasn't really ruined. It was the SIM card was ruined because it was scratched, and that doesn't happen because of being dropped in the bathtub. But so there's this whole story of Sarah being in a relationship with one another, and yet both women, like Taj was in the middle of that. Both women have two different versions of who Max was involved with at the same time. They said it like they've stated it public, because Sarah said this like in a chat, and I go, what do you have to say about that? Like that, at that time, that really bothered me, and it still bothers me. I don't have like the same intensity and the same emotions about it, but I'm like, someone is not. You have two conflicting people narratives. Now you're going to meld them to one and go on Sean Atwood and act like you have information about what happened to Max after he passed away. I mean, why is David Schroeder so angry about Corey Daniel being on Sean Atwood's show? Because Sean Atwood is like one of the biggest fish that is part of this kind of media. Like, well, I mean, he's not as big as like Russell Brand, but you have Russell Brand, you have, Joe Rogan, you have, I was going to say Bill Hicks, but, because he's not Bill Hicks. Alex Jones. Got Alex Jones. And then you got, like, people that were on American Freedom Radio and, Sean Atwood and, an Angela Power Disney. And then you go to a David Schroeder. Both David Schroeder and Angela Power Disney have hopped around on different kind of these alt media. We've got the truth networks. So before I go, I want to say how Sarah permeated this later part of my life, and Angela Power Disney, because Angela Power Disney started hanging out with Jedi in chats, with Denise in chats, And I feel at one point Jedi was like challenging me to like, go and talk with them. I'm like, I'm not going to your show. I don't get out of my chat. Like, I don't want any of this. Like, I want to play in that field. And Angela Parra Disney, after we had a falling out, after she like, posted crap about me on her blog and everything else, she, still shows up in my chats. And then there's drama that she causes with people in my chats. I'm like, what are you doing here? Get out. Get out of here. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden, like Angela Parra Disney, and after things happen with Thomas Schellenberger, she's made alliances with Denise. Denise was on her show a few times. They talked about terrible things about me on their show. Angela Parra Disney, like Angela Parra Disney and Hoax, Daniel Ryan Columbus, with Denise, accused me of trafficking my moderator's children, and then Angela Parra Disney tried to contact Jeff Reed. You see what I'm saying? Like, all of a sudden, this person, I'm going to say person, Angela Parra Disney, who gets a big launch by coming out on Miles Johnson's Basis Project, is now over here, spinning stories about Max. See, both Angela Parra Disney and David Schroeder deny that I ever interviewed Max Spears. But there's this merging of several, and who's in the middle of it? What was Angela Parra Disney doing in Jedi's chat? How did she find him? Where did the connection with her and Denise happen? She's in the UK. This is a whole nother, this is the UFO world. The UFO world is a part of that world, right? Simon Parks pushed the 17th letter of the alphabet, and he's in England. Okay, so just a moment. I think I will play a song. And be back. I'm going to go with this. So welcome back. All right, so here's what I'm going to show. Welcome back to Not My Rabbit Hole. All right, so I'm going to show. I'm going to go to Anon. This is the channel that came into my chat and said my professor's name, and then Denise made a phone call over to the office. This. I haven't shown them in a really long time. They're still around, and so look, they've got Sarah Rachel Adams right here. Like, why is Anon showing Sarah? How does Anon, whoever's behind this, doing this with my picture? This is the famous green picture with the hat that they love to use. Becky loves to use it on her Rancid YouTube channel. She used it before. They pass this one around a lot. This was been on the QAnon Sec website. This is the voodoo doll. I've been looking at like Denise's quilts to see if I can match that. You know, she shows her stuff. I'm like, can I find the match for this over? Because I feel that Denise made this voodoo doll. This is like taking, you know, they love that one. And Nasty Tone Media, that's why in all of his, you know, a lot of his AI pictures, he makes me with these lights around my head, because that was New Year's Eve last year. I was just having fun. I found those lights at the thrift store, and you know, it was all lit up. And so you see that he mimics this. It's the same thing that, you know. And Blazing Scar like tries, you know, like she even had it up on, like, it's not now on her old channel. She had a video where she was, you know, she had a clip of, no, maybe it's an Elisa Lake video. It's an Elisa Lake video where there's a clip of Blazing Scar Becky saying that I'm a non, that I'm just doing this to myself. Yeah, I made a voodoo doll of myself, right? No. Yeah. And she said that like a year ago. Like that's not a recent comment that she's made. That's how long Blazin's been, you know, in the mix. But what is Sarah doing there? What's Sarah doing there, right? I mean, because the big breakup that happened between Sarah and me was that Kevin Moore, he had a woman that he was living with, but they were working on this project about Captain Mark Richards. And she was just, I don't know, I believe that she had a problem with narcotics, like prescription pills. And you know, she claimed to have all the, like, really be psychic and this and that. She said that she was like, Sarah was getting paid because Sarah's money jumped. It did when you know, when Taj became, you know, Sarah's manager. She got on this, you know, she was on you know, what do you call it, the guy, Coast to Coast guy, George Norrie. When she got interviewed by George Norrie, and she got interviewed by, you know, some people with Gaia TV, and you know, she's like, you know, in a video with David Icke. Like, I think, you know, Sarah got this, you know, Hollywood sweet spot with, like, you know, lower level, like maybe siblings of a famous comedian like Steve Harvey, or, you know, the Beverly Hills Wives reality TV show ladies or whatever. And she was doing these readings. I don't know if it was the Basketball Wives or something like that, reality. And charging like $2,000 a psychic reading. And the person who was really doing the reading was this Jenny lady. And Sarah was only paying her $50. And I was like, no way, no, no. It was like, that was like a breaking point to me, because that's deceptive. That's taking money and making a lot of money, pocketing a lot of money, having somebody else who has the ability to do what you're claiming that you're doing, and then paying them way less for what they're doing while you're saying you can do it. Like, that is a real high deception grift. And I had met Sarah, with Haley Meyer and her son, and James Casbolt's son, and as well as there's another guy that was like Haley Meyer's boyfriend, and then Sarah was dating the plastic surgeon guy. So she was so he was there, and she was really super charming and everything, but she said some horrible things about Max's mother, Vanessa, and made some accusations that I would say are on the level of accusations that David Schroeder makes about me. Okay. And then when Jen, this lady, was telling me about how she was actually really doing Sarah's readings, and then she said this about Max's mom, it really set me up again. I heard it again through Jen, of what she said at that table that night. And it really set me off. It hit me wrong in my core. Like, I felt it in my gut. I'm like, oh, I was just disgusted by it and by her. And I really cut off both ladies, because I was just done. And, I'm even kind of like, really, even today, I'm a little bit even, disappointed in Kevin Moore, because I feel like he knew that. And yet it was okay. And, then Stephen Kamian came along and started like reporting on her. And he noticed like some really deceptive things that I noticed. For example, Sarah was pushing a COVID false cure. Said that the antibody, or the virus itself, was in it to protect you again. It was just like, I couldn't believe it. I go, this is horrific. A false cure. Again, endangering people. Who believes that? She has, even right now, biotech, biotechno, I don't know why I can't say that word today. Technological. I gotta slow down. Oh, she's got these products. She pushes med beds. And the worst thing that just happened recently was that she had the incident happen with Steve Harvey's son and daughter-in-law, with the mushroom incident. So would Sarah want to participate? I mean, would she be motivated to get in this other little web of, minions that are associated to Thomas Schoenberger and the David Schroeder thing? Because David Schroeder's the loudest mouthpiece. I've seen comments from her on Nasty Troll Media. She said stuff about me on his thread. I mean, the Tash thing is just absolutely ridiculous. But it feels like something that came out of Sarah's head. You notice that David doesn't say who told him what it is. I've been informed, and these people are going to be investigated. And then she throws me in with Taj. Like, I'm even saying she, like, Who would throw me in with Taj? Who would know Taj? Who in Thomas Schoenberger's world and David Schroeder's world would know Taj enough to throw a story like that out there? I mean, I have to think, like, how connected, how far back does all of this go for me? Theoretically, Angela Power Disney shouldn't cross over to Jedi. She lives in a completely different country, but she does. She shouldn't cross over to Denise Matau, but she does. Why? Why does Taj get mentioned by David Schroeder? Why? Why does that even make a connection? He's in the UK too. What does that have to do with David Schroeder? Well, let's link a little. Max Spears links it all up. That's one big connection. I didn't really have any answers for this. Like, I don't think that I'm, like, doing this stream because I figured it out. Like, all this really is just like me, I don't know, connecting, like, just thinking about things, like making associations, connecting some dots. But just because you, like, make associations doesn't mean that that's the full picture of what's going on. But I find it really interesting that there has been a crossover to Angela Power Disney. And almost coincidentally, Angela will say similar things that David does to Denise Matau. Denise Matau's done videos about Sarah. She goes, oh, Terry is, like, deflecting because there was another Sarah Adams that was associated with something in politics, and so I was talking about Sarah because of that. Or she's said that I've done bad things to Max. She's mentioned Max's name in relation to me in her videos before. Denise, I'm talking about Denise Matau. Why is Anon having a picture of Sarah on it and then harassing me with it? I didn't click it because it's the song "Ring Around the Rosies," and I don't know. It might be copyrighted, and I'm not willing to copyright my channel, so you can listen to it. If you want to go back and look at that, or look at that channel at Teresa Joyce Randolph, go ahead. It's my legal name. That, what I just showed you, is the definition of cyber stalking. When they take your name and your image and they harass you with it, that's cyber stalking. Maybe we'll look at it one more time. Let's look at it one more time. Let's just, I want it, since I'm on that subject, okay? And I've talked about this, and you know what? Blazing Scar did this. She was using my name. She changed her channel to my name, and she acted like this. And she's also accused me of, this being me. But this is the definition right here. My image, my name, right there. A video of me. It's the wig. Denise Matau was right? She's bringing up Denise. The voodoo doll. Similar pictures that Patrick does on his, posts on his page. And here they are, Howard, David, and Patricia. These are names that I don't know who, I think might be my ex's family that they think that they're gonna like make me nervous about because they saw them associated with me on like Ben Verified or something like that. And here is they are resharing from 3 weeks ago in Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving from Not My Rabbit Hole. And doing that. That is cyber stalking. Okay? That is cyber stalking. And why is Sarah in there? There's Sarah Rachel Adams. See, I don't know. I mean, to me, that is significant, and it's worth looking into. It's for me to wonder why Taj is telling people that I'm blackmailing and extorting people. I swear to God, I've heard Sarah say that about me before on social media. Blaming me for the death of Max. I mean, she just says whatever. It doesn't even really matter. She just says it. She even said that I threatened to SA her. And went to Stephen Cambion to try to get him to do a show about it. Try to get other people to do a show about that. And there she is on Anon. Her face is on one of Anon's pictures. Pictures is being shown in my face. Why? Sarah had a big falling out with Taj. There's a guy named Brian Sang who came in and made threats to Taj, and we're going to do this. We're going to investigate you. Sarah threatens to investigate people. What? Is that the big investigators, David? It's Sarah's little Brian Sang like threatening team, like what they're going to do with Taj. Oh, she's friends with Taj, and they are, blackmailing and extorting people, and Taj is on the black web. Come on. This is post breakup with Taj, with Sarah, because she owes him money. Not the other way around, to my understanding. I'm not doing this to defend Taj, because personally, I'm not a fan of his. We are not friends. We have not been friends. So it's just ludicrous. But I could see, I'm not accusing her of, but I could see Sarah coming up with something like that and contacting David Schurter and then making him think that they have big investigators and throwing some name out like Brian Sang, who's with blank, 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 and he's been on such and such show with Penniless Shepherd, who thinks she's, Agent 11 from Stranger Things. I can see someone like blowing smoke like that up his bum. David's. For sure. So, what do you think?
He ain't no Saint Germain, no crown, no name. He plays the game sharp as a flame. Who's to blame for the stolen fame? A shadow dance in the devil's frame. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on a stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Fast, can't find the ground. Echoes of chaos all around. You chose this dance, this mad parade, but not every choice gets accolades. Go in the rabbit hole, losing control, spinning wild on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. Laughing loud on the stripper pole. Laughing loud, all for the lows, but baby, that's not my rabbit hole. rabbit hole. City lights and sirens scream, truth and lies blend like a dream. Wicked smiles, a clever scheme, chasing gold in the neon gleam. Going down the rabbit hole, losing control. Spinning wild on the stripper pole, laughing loud all for the lows. But baby, that's not my rabbit hole.